Hello, everybody. Welcome back. If you came for the AI on library science, feel free. There will be more of that. However, I need to alternate because I picked up some GovDucks I was going to cover and still haven't gotten to because my coworker's at work a lot. And I'm going to be at work again next week a lot, which will be fine because I get to teach my object cataloging quests and I got my sister's license, so I'm doing pretty good. But this I found and stumbled over looking through the Gov docs, trying to find something interesting to show you all, and I thought it was kind of interesting, so I'm reading it. It's from 1995, which, by the way, was a good year for me. Not the best year, because middle school sucks, but um, this is an interesting reflection because this is, I think I was the first or second cohort. I was fairly early on in the D.A.R.E program, so this would have been evaluating those of us who had like just come through it. And I had D.A.R.E in like the fourth grade, so it only been a few years after I'd been through D.A.R.E. As opposed to the later years in the 90s when they like started putting the tiger and like, or the lion, excuse me, and everything else into it. So I also wanted to do this because David L. Carter from MSU. This just cracked me up. I'm like, of all the places, okay, MSU, we have an opinion here, so let's hear it. How is it working? Is what Nancy Reagan thought was a good idea working? Maybe it's not Nancy Reagan's idea. I'm sorry. I don't know the historical perspective of D.A.R.E. I'm just off the cuff in it. American citizens are concerned about crime. A review of public opinion polls and news stories shows Americans want to see new initiatives for dealing with drug abuse, gang activities, violence in the schools and streets, nonviolent crime, and the fear that is eroding the quality of life in many communities. A number of programs have emerged to deal with the problem: Neighborhood Watch, Operation Identification, use of school educational resource officers, street sweeps, and a wide range of specialized programs all target local problems throughout the United States. This bulletin focuses on two of these evolving initiatives: community policing and the drug abuse resistance education. Ah, it's resistance education. Okay, I always wondered what the R was. The way citizens think about policing is being transformed. Integration of the creative thinking of law enforcement administrators and academics with a wide body of police research findings has yielded the concept of community policing. Unlike programs intended to address specific problems faced by law enforcement, community policing calls for an all-encompassing change in the way police perform their duties. D.A.R.E is a drug and violence prevention education program that began in Los Angeles in 1983 and has since spread across the country through urban and rural communities. 1983. Okay, that's pretty mind blowing. So let's see. It's about 10, I feel like, when it came over here. So, like I said, I remember it being fourth grade, fourth or fifth grade, because it was the upper level of elementary school. And I suck at matching kids' ages to K 12 grades, so I could be way off on that. But dang, 1983, I did not realize it was that old. But it was probably going on the West Coast. I'm in the Midwest, so it hadn't immigrated over here to our semi rural communities. Um, yeah, I have interesting perspectives. Anyway, we'll keep going. D.A.R.E program goals and activities are consistent with an integrated community policing approach and reflect many community policing values. The 1991 report of the Christopher Commission, an independent group studying the Los Angeles Police Department, offers this description of the D.A.R.E program. In 1983, the LAPD developed a highly visible, community-oriented program, D.A.R.E, in which officers leave patrol and go to schools to teach children about the dangers of drug use. Many view the D.A.R.E program as one of the LAPD's major achievements. And I can't remember off the top of my head when Rodney King was, so I think Rodney King's after this. Both community policing and D.A.R.E have had their critics. Challenging old methods and philosophy can be risky. However, such creative initiatives are essential to meet the growing citizen demand for change, resource accountability, and a quality of life that is as free of crime as possible. How about no crime? Anyway, community policing. The emergence of community policing presents a challenge for law enforcement because it requires a fundamental shift in the long-standing philosophy underlying the maintenance of law and order. Many envision community policing as a one specific program, others generalize it as social work that is soft on crime. In reality, the concept is one of full-service law enforcement that addresses specific citizen concerns and provides high-quality police efforts. Robert Trojanowitz, one of the earliest proponents of community policing, characterized it as a new philosophy of policing based on the concept that police officers and private citizens working together in creative ways can help solve contemporary community problems related to crime, fear of crime, social and physical disorder, and neighborhood decay. The philosophy is predicated on the behalf that achieving these goals requires that police departments develop a new relationship with the law-abiding people in the community, allowing them a greater voice in settling local priorities and involving them in efforts to improve the overall quality of life in their neighborhoods. It shifts the focus of police work from handling random calls to solving problems. Oh my god, mind blowing! That's also why I think police officers should live in the area they're patrolling. I know it's not always a great and wonderful community, but that's also why people should be paying cops more. Anyway. Community policing did not suddenly materialize as a new idea, rather evolved from research conducted by a wide range of scholars and police research organizations. Beginning primarily in the early 1970s, a great deal of research was conducted on police patrol. Some of the most important patrol-related data from the last 25 years of research include the following findings. Random marked patrol does not prevent crime. Patrol officers have a notable amount of uncommitted time. Yeah, that I'm not surprised by. Quick response to citizen calls does not increase the probability of apprehending criminals. That kind of sucks. Fulfillment of citizen expectations of a response time, not the actual speed of the response, shapes citizens' satisfaction with the police. Okay. That kind of makes sense. I'm sorry if my pen got picked up on, on the recording. I didn't realize I was fidgeting with it until about 20 seconds after I started. Call management plans, such as differential police response, can increase the efficacy and effectiveness of policing without sacrificing citizen safety. Assigning patrol officers to geographic locations based on population ratios does not meet the variability of demands for police service. That kind of makes sense. I mean, you can be dense and everybody can be chill with each other. It does happen. Meaningful deployment of patrol officers requires careful analysis of environmental factors, thus calling for a service that can fluctuate according to season, time of day, and geographic location. Because most citizen calls can be handled effectively by one officer, single officer patrol cars are significantly more efficient than two officer units. That makes sense. One officer patrol cars do not pose undue threats to officer safety. Teams of police officers working in a cooperative effort toward commonly defined goals can provide more comprehensive police service than non-team efforts. Duh! Unique patrol deployment schemes or specialized patrols can be useful in handling special circumstances and problems. Patrol officer job enlargement and job enrichment helps increase job satisfaction, thus fostering an environment in which the officers become more productive. To be useful in personnel assessment and direction, police performance measures must be goal-directed and reliable. That kind of, again, makes sense. Citizen demands for police assistance and problem-solving related to non-criminal matters must be addressed. Community policing builds on lessons learned from the above research findings and related literature. By reallocating patrol officers' time, community policing can make better use of personnel. When police establish a dialogue with citizens, the public develops a more accurate measure by which to gauge an officer's competence and thus determine their satisfaction with police services. Participating in a dialogue with police also allows citizens to have a voice in defining and prioritizing their law enforcement needs. This targeted report, in turn, helps establish better police-community relations and contributes to greater satisfaction for all citizens. At the same time, officers given the mandate to diagnose community problems and develop creative solutions, serve in many new roles as community organizers, facilitators, educators, and referral resources that enrich and expand the officers' work. Officers are already being social workers. Why do we need to send social workers out? Community policing is not the answer to all problems faced by law enforcement, nor will it work in every community. However, the concept provides a logical, comprehensive approach to police service delivery that relies on a tested body of research. Integrated with D.A.R.E, a more specialized program, has been shown to produce desirable results. Community policing can presumably better serve all citizens. So, things we call this: police area rep, resident officers, citizen-oriented police experiment. That one sounds sort of menacing to me. Don't ask me why. Ministation. Okay, Detroit. I'm from here. Ministation. It sounds like a really weird name for that. All right. Neighborhood Foot Patrol. Flint is keeping it real. Code Blue. Neighborhood-oriented policing. I've heard it called that. I've heard it called community-oriented policing. Target-oriented policing also sounds kind of threatening. Quality policing. Okay. Problem-oriented policing. That one makes a little more sense to me. All right. Although debate continues on the conceptual differences between community policing and problem-oriented policing, many... Oh, 1255. Okay. Many argue that the concepts are moving closer together. Community policing seeks to resolve community disorder and neighborhood decay with a broad breadth of solutions. Problem-oriented policing seeks a more precise surgical approach to resolving specific problems. In practice, police departments appear to employ community policing in the way that best meets their particular concerns, giving the effort a special name to signify a new initiative. These names can vary widely, however, it's the philosophical shift behind the police service delivery system, not the difference in the name, that is important. A good example of a problem-solving community-oriented systems approach to drug use and crime prevention is the three-phase system approach developed by the Bureau of Justice Assistance, Office of Justice Programs, U.S. Department of Justice in New Haven, Connecticut, Jacksonville, Florida, Knoxville, Tennessee, and Tucson, Arizona. Phase 1 involved an integrated effort to ensure that prevention was afforded a stature equivalent to other policing activities rather than being handled as a separate activity. Prevention was included in patrol and investigation activities throughout entire police departments. Phase 2 is designed to create partnerships between the police and different community groups and institutions. It was recognized that comprehensive prevention activities could not be performed effectively without enlisting the help of such key constituency groups as schools, churches, neighborhood organizations, and departments of municipal government. Phase 3 involved the coordinated delivery of drug use and crime prevention services. Essentially, to achieve their critical crime prevention goals, the partnership groups need to develop a comprehensive initiative characterized by cooperation and coordination of different responsibilities. All right, D.A.R.E, finally, the meat of this. Drug abuse resistance education is a comprehensive educational program designed to prevent substance abuse and violence by educating children about the threats and consequences associated with such activities. The D.A.R.E curriculum focuses on building self-esteem, taking responsibility for one's behavior, resisting peer pressure, and making responsible decisions. Yes, one of the few things that I have in my brain burned from D.A.R.E was we had to do like skits for each of the ways you could say no to drugs, and of course the one I got, and I got assigned because I was such an unpopular kid to this group with like 3 other girls, and we got assigned the one of like cold shoulder, and I just remember it probably because I was actually not the one that gave the cold shoulder to. I was like in the group of like 2 other girls that was giving the cold shoulder to the other one that was trying to offer us drugs, which yeah, to this day, just laughs like, oh my god, for like a hot second, I could pretend to be popular. But yeah, I don't think I ever saw that like out in the real world. Just so we're clear, maybe y'all did. Leave some thoughts in the comments. D.A.R.E was pretty wild, and again, I was in a like semi-rural area. We hadn't heard of none of these drugs in the 4th grade. We got our eyes open. Let me tell you, you gonna learn today. Gonna learn today. You think them safety films? I got into those. Yeah, this is probably how I started getting into all those crazy health safety films. As important additional benefits, the program offers students the opportunity to gain a trustworthy adult friend, develop a positive attitude towards law enforcement personnel, and acquire greater respect for the law. Yeah, I heard that this was actually more the covert reason why they did there was like, here's community policers, they're in your school, they're your bro, stop being afraid of the man. The D.A.R.E curriculum was developed by educators to be presented to school children by specially trained uniformed police officers. Since its implementation, the core curriculum has undergone continuous review and improvement, incorporating contemporary teaching methods to educate children in the prevention of drug abuse, violence involvement, and gang affiliation. Building on the original D.A.R.E concept of 1983, the curriculum has expanded to cover the entire span of a child's school years. D.A.R.E programs include kindergarten through 4th grade visitation lessons. Yeah, we definitely did the 4th grade visitation lessons. 5th and 6th grade core curriculum. I think we did do that. I don't remember it being branded as D.A.R.E, but I do remember we had like 3 health classes in junior high, and one was like the drugs one. Because I remember more about the sexuality one. The drugs one, the best thing I remember was our teacher, Mrs. P. I can't remember her full name because it was Italian, but Mrs. P. like one day said something to the effect of like, you could roll up a piece of carpet and smoke it, and it would probably get you high. That doesn't mean it's a good idea. Oh, my K-12 memories are pretty wild. I'm sorry. Anyway, middle, junior, high school curriculum. And it might have been part of our health class in that case. I have weirder memories of that health class, frankly. Senior high curriculum. Yeah, see that would have been that health class I'm thinking of. And D.A.R.E plus play and learn under supervision activities for 6th graders, 7th graders, and 8th graders. And then there's like parental lessons, which God no, my dad wouldn't have looked at that at all. Socialization. An important dynamic in any educational initiative is the socialization process, or the way in which attitudes, values, and beliefs are shaped by everything a person observes and experiences throughout a lifetime. Political beliefs, understanding of right and wrong, life priorities, and virtually every other aspect of human experience are shaped by socialization. D.A.R.E attempts to influence the socialization process in young people's lives. That's the hope. Otherwise, why would we fund the money? Sorry, I just came upstairs and I'm a little breathless. Informal socialization results from a myriad of incidental exposures occurring throughout a person's life. For example, a child is riding in a car that is stopped for speeding. The officer's demeanor, whether pleasant and professional or abrupt or overbearing, will undoubtedly influence that child's attitude toward the police. At the same time, the youth will be influenced by the driver's reaction to the officer. This brief experience will serve as a factor in the development of the child's attitude toward law enforcement personnel. Although a single encounter may have a limited effect on the child's value system, it is nonetheless a planted seed. Subsequent encounters with a police officer will either reinforce this experience or provide conflicting information that the youth must weigh accordingly. Other factors will also color that judgment, including comments made by family, friends, and teachers, observations from television and movies, and innumerable other societal inputs. Yeah, the best childhood memory I have of interacting with the police officers when we were in Ohio and we got pulled over because at the time, this will date me, you weren't required to buckle up in the back seat in the state of Michigan, but apparently you were in the state of Ohio. We were visiting my grandparents and we got pulled over, and I remember the cop like explaining it to my dad, and then like the deputy officer, because I was laying down the back seat, and the deputy officer was like waving and like trying to make funny faces through the back seat window at me, while the other officer was like lecturing my dad on how terrible it is that you have not strapped your daughter into a seat and is letting her just lay there sideways. Yeah. The world is so different. Anyway, okay. Innumerable other societal inputs. Yep. Formal socialization occurs when specific information is directed toward an individual with the intent of shaping his or her values or beliefs, aka propaganda. School, church, and the business sector and the court system, in addition to teaching substantive skills, all focus on influencing behavior and beliefs. Ironically, informal socialization appears to be somewhat more influential than formal socialization. Nevertheless, there is a clear interaction between the two types. Specifically, formal socialization establishes institutional parameters and policies, while informal socialization guides the actual practices of policies and pushes, sometimes crossing the institutional parameters. Simply stated, the predominant type of input or socialization that is regularly experienced will exert the greatest influence on a child's attitudes and beliefs. Constant positive exposure to a police officer over a sustained period of time can shape a positive attitude toward the community, its values, and the police. Consequently, D.A.R.E can help develop good citizenship in the students who participate. How much any young person will be influenced depends on his or her previous socialization experience, the quality of the D.A.R.E instruction experience, and how much reinforcement is received from parents, friends, teachers, other police officers. D.A.R.E opens the door to young people to lay the foundation of responsible citizenship. Okay, civics before civics class, huh? Through use of community policing initiatives, law enforcement can build on this foundation. So the behavioral continuum. That's one way of putting it. Some young people will never use drugs or seriously entertain the idea of participating in an unlawful act. Others may be headed toward involvement in crime. The cause of these behavioral extremes have been studied by criminologists for years. What is known is that young people are the product of a complex interaction of physical and psychosocial factors that can be influenced by positive and negative forms of socialization toward either extreme. As figure 1 illustrates, a substantial portion of young people seem to fall in the middle area of the continuum between the extremes, with vulnerability to influences that can edge them closer to one end or the other. Perhaps a positive interaction with the police, as a result of both community policing and D.A.R.E can more effectively socialize young people in the middle of the continuum, encouraging them to move forward toward greater responsibility. That's the theory. So irresponsible and responsible, this is, the sphere of influence we have before they go completely off the rails. And then they're so responsible they don't need to listen to us anymore. Okay. A successful D.A.R.E program requires the integrated effort of police, schools, and parents. One of these groups alone is unlikely to succeed in directing a child's behavior toward a constructive, responsible end. Furthermore, law enforcement probably has the least influence of the three. However, through programs like D.A.R.E, law enforcement officers can reinforce the positive efforts of the parents and schools. Such reinforcement is enhanced when the police department is driven by the partnership and problem-based orientation of community policing. Figure 2 illustrates the integration of efforts among these groups as applied to both community policing and D.A.R.E initiatives. All right, let's go see figure 2. Where's figure 2? Ooh, integration of effort. Look at that lovely pyramid chart down there. Sorry, I don't think that needed a figure, but hey. Community policing and D.A.R.E working together. Combining a community policing mission with an educational initiative like D.A.R.E can prove beneficial. The following account offers a good example. Mission, Texas, a city of about 30,000 people just minutes from the Mexican border, has an extremely high level of drug trafficking activity and drug abuse. Recognizing the need to employ a more contemporary and effective approach to law enforcement, Chief Pat Gallagher of the Mission Police Department refocuses the department's drug control strategy. By significantly shifting resources, the police department was able to place 13 officers in the city's 2 school districts. As Chief Gallagher stated, the police department has taken away the big stick approach to dealing with youth-related crime and replaced it with education. In the 4th and 5th grades, the officers teach the D.A.R.E curriculum. In the middle schools, the officers teach the gang resistance, education, and training curriculum. And each of the 2 high schools has the services of an assigned resource officer. Okay, so we did not get the gang resistance education and training. Probably because, again, we were out in like the edge of suburbia to the start of rural. Like, what gangs? We did not have gangs. Yeah. We had some messed up people that did messed up things. We did not have gangs. According to the chief, this approach's reliance on the more open and trusting communications has resulted in fewer police problems, increased number of arrests, and in significantly improved police-community relations. D.A.R.E establishes effective communications links within the community with potentially far-reaching results. Special Agent Merle Manzi of the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, who is also the state's D.A.R.E program coordinator, has observed, speaking to D.A.R.E officers makes you aware of the program's impact. Every officer can quickly give you several stories that describe how students more positively relate to the police or how their lives have changed after having the opportunity to know a police officer whom they feel comfortable talking with about all kinds of problems. D.A.R.E has opened that line of communication. Multiply that by the number of D.A.R.E officers across the country, and I'm convinced that they have had an important, lasting impact on the community. Yeah. In looking at the specific relationship between D.A.R.E and community policing, the annual report of the Michigan D.A.R.E coordinator stated the D.A.R.E program is more than a drug education, it's community policing and commitment to community. Along the same line of thought, Morin Tadronowitz noted community policing, community institutions such as family, schools, neighborhood associations, and merchant groups are seen as key partners to the police in the creation of safe, secure communities. The success of the police depends not only on the development of their own skills and capabilities, but also on the creation of competent communities. Community policing acknowledges that police alone cannot succeed in achieving their basic goals without both the operational assistance and political support of the community. Conversely, the community cannot succeed in constructing decent, open, and orderly communities without a professional and responsive police force. And that is what we are having breaking down today, and because nobody wants to go into the cops, which I kind of don't blame them, but on the other hand, we need good, solid men being willing to defend and help us. Sergeant Lick A. McLaughlin, the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department D.A.R.E supervisor, relates that the D.A.R.E program serves as a vehicle for activities in Kansas City that reach beyond the school curriculum. All right, several new programs that specifically emerged from activities of D.A.R.E officers described below. The new community-based Park Hill School District Community Drug-Free Task Force resulted from the interest and concern of parents, police, and schools. Sorry about that. I'm not going to cut it just because it's easier for me to continue the one take. I live in a nice little mobile dead zone, so the fun of doing delivery orders is always having to. Yes, no, they gave me the food. Yeah, they couldn't send you a picture. They couldn't send you a picture because we have no signal. Kind of a standing joke because you have signal on the lake, but not where we are because we're too close to the wall. Anyway, drug-free tailgate parties were sponsored at various high school football games. An adult prom was sponsored as a fundraising event for drug abuse programs and community awareness of drugs and drug-related problems that affect youth. D.A.R.E officers and students developed a docudrama on drug resistance that was presented to students during high school prom week. Through the leadership of D.A.R.E officers, a chapter of Turning Resources and Energy in New Directions was developed in 2 schools and 1 high school. D.A.R.E officers helped develop a teaching and reading youth program, teaching and reaching youth, program. These initiatives are facilitated by the stimulus and networking afforded by the D.A.R.E program, and each complements the goals of community policing. It has become increasingly evident that D.A.R.E provides important linkages to the community that were previously weak or non-existent. The anecdotal experiences of D.A.R.E participants highlight several patterns involved in the use of D.A.R.E that serve to complement a community policing component. So D.A.R.E humanizes the police, as young people can begin to relate to officers as people rather than in terms of uniforms or parts of an institution. A D.A.R.E officer in Massachusetts asserted, I've had countless kids tell me that they never thought they would speak to a cop. It shows you that they viewed us as robots or some sort of untouchable force. If I hadn't had these kids in class, most would probably still view us that way. D.A.R.E permits students to see police officers in a helping role, not just in an enforcement role. A Georgia D.A.R.E officer was told by a 5th grade student, I didn't know you did good things, I thought you just put people in jail. Sewing all sides of policing responsibilities is an important educational tool. Now keep in mind, this is during the era when cops kind of blew up on TV, and yes, I watch way too much Cops now, to the point where we were just joking about that last night, like, I've seen this one. I recognize this woman's shrubbery. That's kind of sad that I can recognize this woman's shrubbery in episodes of Cops, and granted, they're like 30-year-old episodes of Cops, so they're contemporaneous with this. But yeah, that was a huge thing. People were like, there's too many representations of people with greater melanin on cops, and then people just assume they're all criminals when they're not. They still are not. Anyway, showing all sides of policing responsibilities is an important educational tool. All right, D.A.R.E opens lines of communication between law enforcement and youth. In Michigan, an officer said, "When I worked patrol, I rarely said over a half a dozen words to kids, and they certainly had little to say to me. Now, after working in D.A.R.E, I talk to kids all the time, even ones who graduated from the program several years ago, and it's amazing some of the things they tell me." Oh, yeah, I bet. D.A.R.E serves as a source of feedback to the police department to better communicate fears and concerns of youth, thus helping the police develop problem-solving efforts that extend beyond drugs. A D.A.R.E officer from rural Missouri town said, "I was surprised to learn how scared many of these kids were about different types of crime. They would hear about gangs, homicides occurring in Kansas City and were convinced that was a problem here also. I can't remember a homicide in our town. Be surprised if we ever had a gang member pass through here, so I found myself explaining things to kids about all kinds of crime in addition to drug resistance." And that may not have been a Missouri accent, so feel free to add in the comments where that was completely off, but that was what I channeled. D.A.R.E officers can serve as conduits to provide information to young people beyond drug-related matters, particularly in question and answer sessions. A Florida officer stated, "I get questions about traffic laws, search and seizure accuracy, TV, police shows, crimes in news, local gossip about crimes, criminals, the mafia, just about anything you can think of. There's certainly lots of misconceptions in these kids' minds. Hopefully I'm straightening some of them out." Again, don't know how to do a Florida accent. We'll see if that worked. D.A.R.E can serve as a stimulus for youth to become more involved in other responsible activities such as Police Explorers, Police Athletic League, or other youth-oriented initiatives. A Texas police manager observed, "D.A.R.E gets many young people enthused about the police, which leads to their interest in about anything we're involved with. The more young people we can get to participate in positive character-building activities, the better citizens they will be. Over the years, D.A.R.E will probably plant the seed for many of these young people to enter a law enforcement career." That's the best I can do with Texas. D.A.R.E reduces peer pressure and balances values for all types of responsible behavior. An officer from Florida observed, "Most kids want to do what's right, but the peer pressure conform is unbelievably strong. What they learn in D.A.R.E discussion sessions is there are a lot of other kids who share their values to do what's right. That lesson goes far beyond drug resistance and gets to the heart of being a good citizen." D.A.R.E opens lines of communication between school district and police to deal with a wide range of issues, such as violence in the schools, drug abuse, and any other problem about which there is mutual concern. One Texas school district did not want the police to come on campus unless they were specifically called, and then only under limited circumstances. Furthermore, the police department had difficulty obtaining cooperation from the school except under extraordinary circumstances. The chief of police said that after the D.A.R.E program started, the relationship with the school system completely turned around. Not only did the D.A.R.E officers serve as an important common ground, but the school officials developed a greater understanding of police procedures and needs, just so the police department learned more about the school districts concerned. D.A.R.E shows the police in a different light for many adults within the community: parents, teachers, school staff, administrators, and school board members. According to a Michigan parent, "At first I wasn't too sure that having a cop teaching kids in school was a good idea. I thought they'd try to turn the kids into informants or something. But after talking with my daughter about the D.A.R.E instruction, listening to enthusiasm, and talking with the officer at graduation, it changed my mind. It is a good lesson about personal responsibility, which should be contained in the schools and at home." And that is not a good Michigan accent. I think I went southern on that. But we do have a lot of transplants from the south, so that's all I'm defending that one. Regional training centers. All right, so we have Los Angeles, Arizona, Illinois, Virginia, North Carolina, and I guess our closest one would be the Illinois one, wouldn't it? Yep, there's Michigan. All right, exposure to life in the public schools can broaden officers' perspectives on and understanding of community concerns. South Carolina said his experience as a D.A.R.E officer gave him great appreciation for problems faced by school teachers and how these problems impede the educational process. He stated, "This experience has not only helped me in my job, but made me a better parent and citizen." D.A.R.E training is an instrument of socialization that introduces officers to a philosophy that measures success by community acceptance and support rather than by numbers of crimes and arrests. As a California police captain observed, officers returning from a training exhibit a definite change in character. The officers demonstrate greater sensitivity to the needs of the people in the community and eagerness to interact with the community and teach what they have learned. Such changes in police attitude provide a firm foundation upon which police community partnerships can be established. Yes, I ran out of steam for doing accents. By using D.A.R.E officers as a resource, the department can become more creative in developing problem-solving initiatives. California police manager stated, "We found D.A.R.E officers to be an excellent source to help identify community problems which need to be solved because they learn so much in the schools. They're also a good resource for viewing new programs from a slightly different light because they seem to understand many things about our community that many of us have lost touch with." Yes, the joy of aging. The D.A.R.E program fosters the close and prolonged contact with the community that is fundamental to community policing. Removing the D.A.R.E officer from the patrol car allows him or her to interact closer with school administrators, teachers, parents, community members, and young people over an extended period of time, thus developing a rapport and promotes communication and problem solving on issues that extend beyond the D.A.R.E curriculum. The connection among D.A.R.E officers, community policing officers, and citizens becomes very strong. A police supervisor in Massachusetts stated, every student and parent views their D.A.R.E officer as being the best one in much the same way people view their community police officer as being the best officer in the department. Such public perceptions are crucial to gaining support and developing partnerships for crime control and drug prevention. Given the benefits that can be gained from these linkages, law enforcement should strive to expand any available avenue of communications and cooperation. Community policing and D.A.R.E are evolving initiatives that can respond to changing social problems and demands. However, many of the challenges faced by both programs arise out of the fundamentals of human nature. Among the greatest barriers to overcome are resistance to change that affects law enforcement communities alike, desire to see successes in the short term when change requires a long-term goal of re-socialization, the natural human tendency to settle for a status quo rather than risk change, the unwillingness to recognize that even in failure, knowledge is gained, knowledge then includes insight on how to modify an initiative to ultimately achieve success, the lack of sincere commitment to invest effort, resources, and patience in a non-traditional venture. Special Agent Manzi of Florida stated, D.A.R.E is like building a brick building one brick at a time. It's instrumental and you have to look at the collective successes over time. The same might be said for community policing. Kelly and Moore observed that the measures of success in the community strategy are broad: quality of life in the neighborhoods, problem solution, reduction of fear, increased order, citizen satisfaction with police services, as well as crime control. The effects of D.A.R.E appear to contribute to all of these outcomes. Thus, although D.A.R.E primarily focuses on drug use and violence prevention and education, its influence potentially can be more widespread. As noted in a report by the Office of Michigan Governor John Engler, D.A.R.E is one of the few preventive programs that excite students, teachers, parents, and communities. Excitement and awareness should be expanded to include other diverse population intervention approaches. In Michigan, D.A.R.E officers are encouraged to become aware of all school and community prevention initiatives and to encourage participation in broad-based parenting, peer, and student-to-student, student assistance, and community awareness projects. D.A.R.E can provide a powerful building block and source of support for all prevention activity. In philosophy and practice, D.A.R.E complements tenets of a community-based approach to preaching. Together, they're building on the ideas of partnership, open communication, reciprocal education, mutual respect, community policing, and D.A.R.E can improve the quality of life in the nation's communities. So, quotes based on personal interviews conducted by the author, and then we have some exciting suggested reading. Oh, and more Department of Justice Center, and this is the bottom of it. Okay. So yeah, guys, what did you think about D.A.R.E? Did you have to go through D.A.R.E? Did it totally blow your mind? And now we're talking about all these super exciting substances that we've never heard of before. The closest thing I remember hearing before we had D.A.R.E was like poison control stuff. And I think we also had, and I don't know if it was like a community thing or they just had them at the mall or whatever, but the other police interaction I remember having as a child was when they had us do Stranger Danger. And I don't know if they do Stranger Danger anymore because kids today are just so hyper freaking surveilled that, like, I don't even think they need to teach it anymore because it's like, you're never going to be near a stranger. Mom's always going to be within, like, arm's distance of you. So, God forbid you, like, have to think for yourself and analyze whether someone's a threat. Sorry. This is the latchkey generation talking. We, fell off of spinning merry-go-rounds and called ourselves, sucked it up and all that good stuff. Anyway, yeah, D.A.R.E was pretty wild. I know they eventually stopped it, I want to say in the early aughts, but for those of us who had to go through this in the late 80s and early to mid-90s, it was a time. Yeah, especially because I did remember one other quote to give you a nice indication of how innocent we were back then. One of our friends who was East Indian moved to our town and confused all of us in our little all-white town. But one of the things she brought up where gossiping among the girls one day was like she did not know what a virgin meant. And we all laughed at her. And granted, like we were so sophisticated. But yeah, we had to whisper in her ear what exactly it meant. She was like, that's what it means. Anyway, we were so naive. We were just so innocent and naive. But hey, on the plus side, we also got to do crazy things, none of which were recorded for embarrassing future TikToks. Anyway, have a good one. Hope you enjoyed this. Pretty please leave some comment if you feel like it. And yeah, follow the playlist. There's more like this if you like this sort of thing.